Man, I'm gonna be real with y'all for a second. One of the hardest parts of this business is watching people lose their houses when they didn't even have to. We reach out, we follow up, we set expectations, and they express to us that they need the help. But by the time they're ready to actually pull the trigger and execute an agreement, sometimes it's just too late. It's nothing we can do about it. For example, literally just 3 weeks ago, we were working with a seller. All right. This was a sole owner. This guy owned all three of these properties outright. It wasn't inherited or anything. So we had a lot of hope, thinking, you know what, we can get this done quick because it's a single owner situation. So we saw he was on the foreclosure list. He had three properties on the foreclosure list. Now, these were all investment properties for him. He had them rented out with tenants, but obviously he wasn't managing them right. All right. They all had the same private lender and they were all going to foreclosure. He owed about 30,000 per property. So that's about $90,000 that he had in mortgage debt. But we were going to be offering him about 60,000 per property. These were small properties, potential teardowns in South Dallas. So they weren't worth a lot, but they were worth a lot more than what he owed on the properties. So he owed about 90,000. We were offering about 180,000 in total. So he was going to be able to pay off his debts and walk away with $90,000 cash. When we talked to the seller, he expressed to us, he was behind, he was going to foreclosure, he was ready to sell ASAP. If we could, offer him the 60,000 per property, he was ready to go. So we went ahead and lined everything up. Went over the agreements with him over the phone. He said he was ready to execute, but he wanted to meet in person. So we actually scheduled a sit down with him, met him at a McDonald's close to his house, and then he walks in, everything looking good. We anxious to get these deals signed so we can take care of them. And then in walks in his girlfriend, who had no idea, one, that he was getting foreclosed on. Two, she had no idea that he was showing up to McDonald's to sign off and sell these properties. So she put a big wrench in the plan. She was like, "What are you doing? Why are you selling them?" And she was kind of taken back. So because he didn't communicate well with her, she threw off our plan to go ahead and execute the agreements, even though we caught her up to speed, created that urgency, let her know that this was something that needed to happen as soon as possible. But because she was having doubts, he did not move forward and sign the purchase agreements. And we were about 10 to 12 days away from auction at that time. Even though he had agreed to the pricing and everything, the terms of the agreement sounded good to him. He just wasn't on the same page with his lover, so she didn't want him to sign. So this was on a Friday. He said, "You know what? Follow back up with me on Monday. Let me talk to her. Let us get our ducks in a row, get on the same page, and then we can go ahead and move forward." Well, Monday rolled around, and of course, he ghosted us, not picking up our calls, not picking up our texts. So we're constantly reaching out, letting him know, "Hey, time is of the essence. We need at least 7 business days to be able to work this and get this done. So if we don't execute an agreement today, it's really nothing that we'll be able to do." No response from the guy. Day after day, we're still reaching out, we're still calling, we're still, reaching out every way that we possibly can. No communication from this guy up until the day before foreclosure. And we literally let our sales guy know. Even though he went ghost, we bet he will reach back out to us the day before foreclosure to see if we can help. And lo and behold, the day before the property went to foreclosure, he reached back out to us to see if we can help. We figured that we couldn't, but we were still churning our wheels to see what we could possibly do. We ended up reaching out to the lender, talking to the lender, letting them know, "Hey, we're about to contract these properties. Is there any way we could put a hold to this foreclosure?" He said, "Nope, because this is not even the first time that the seller has done this. He's had the properties under contract before and did not follow through. And so absolutely not. I'm going to get my money from the foreclosure auction unless y'all can come with all the money today." And of course, we weren't able to do that. So there was nothing we can do. And this is a prime example of how procrastination can bite sellers in the ass. The guy went from walking away with $90,000 cash in his pocket with his debts paid to getting all his properties foreclosed on and not getting any money from the transaction. Just imagine the emotion and frustration that comes with that, not just from the seller side because he just missed that on a high 5-figure payday, but also for us because, we were putting in a lot of effort trying to track this guy down and make sure we had funds set aside and had everything lined up to be able to close this deal in a timely manner for him in the event he would have actually played ball, but he didn't. And it's just like, For us as investors or buyers, it's just like, man, it makes absolutely no sense why you would avoid the situation and wait to the last minute and potentially lose everything instead of gaining $90,000 cash. It just mathematically does not make sense. But that's the type of stuff you deal with, not only when you're dealing with just traditional sellers, but especially specifically when we're dealing with foreclosures, because there is a lot of emotion tied into this. Now, clearly, this situation does not make any sense mathematically. So let's talk about why this happens so often. Well, for starters, most of these sellers are overwhelmed. Remember, most sellers have only bought and or sold a property one or two times in their life. Now, this is a little bit different because he had three rental properties, so we can assume he's bought a couple properties, or maybe these were the first three he ever bought outside of his personal house. But most of the people that we're going to work with as clients are not investors. They don't have the real capacity to know exactly what it takes to invest in real estate. And then when they get in this situation, not only are they behind financially, but now they're being bombarded with calls, texts, letters, and all sorts of things, and all type of people coming out of the woodwork offering to help them. And so they're like, well, who's the person who can really help me? They're just extremely overwhelmed, and that kind of causes them to freeze up and not take any action at all. When these sellers are getting tons of calls, emails, texts, and letters, that creates the illusion that they have options. So when somebody calls them, giving them, straight direct numbers, giving them real options as far as how they can receive help, they're thinking, maybe I can get more money. Maybe somebody can do it faster. Or maybe somebody else can give me more time and work on my timeline. They think they have tons of options just because people are calling, not understanding that the process is the process. No matter who you work with, you need to do something now. Second, sellers get embarrassed. You know what I'm saying? They don't think that this situation was ever going to happen to them. Maybe they seen it happen to somebody else, or maybe they heard about foreclosure, but now it's actually at their front doorstep. Somebody is telling them that you need to do something right now, or you're going to lose this asset that I'm sure you worked hard to get. And so they don't like the ultimatum. You know what I'm saying? They feel embarrassed. They don't know what options they have. They don't think that they're going to be able to do anything to stop this. And so they just feel bad about it ultimately. Third, and this is a big issue, they think they still have time, and or they think some type of miracle is going to happen that's going to stop the foreclosure and magically allow them to keep their properties without paying this debt. And that is just not going to happen ever. They thinking, look, I made it this far, and on top of that, they don't fully understand the foreclosure process because they've never experienced it. Lastly, fear and denial. Those are two powerful emotions, all right? And it leads, like I said, to inaction. When you're very fearful and in denial, and that's mixed together, it's going to lead you to not make any decisions or make any moves because you just don't know what's what. You don't know what the right move is. And so you just stand still, again, hoping for that miracle to come. So here's some game that I will give you as somebody who's experienced this situation multiple times. First off, do not take it personal. It's not about you. It's all about the seller and their situation and those things that I just mentioned previously. It is not about you as an individual, all right? They need help. They know they need help, and they don't know if you can help or not. They just stuck in their ways. Just show up, offer your support and the options that you can provide to potentially help them out of the situation. That's all you can do for real. Second, you want to try to be relatable in some form or fashion. And I think the best way to do that is to create a common enemy. And who else could the enemy be other than the lender or the person who's foreclosing on the property? So just throw the blame on the bad person, but do not place any blame on the sellers, even though in reality, it's their fault because they procrastinated and got themselves in this situation. But they don't want to hear that shit right now. That can be something as simple as, hey, I see your lender is trying to take your property from you. They've listed this property on the foreclosure list, but I'm calling because I believe I can help if you're open to some options. Third, you want to be a professional, not an emotional rescuer. All right. You want to call with solutions and benefits to their situation, not just, lending an ear or a shoulder to cry on. Even though you want to build some rapport, you want to go ahead and address the elephant in the room and create that urgency with every conversation because you can listen to them, pour their heart out, and that's fine. But then what's next? What do the next steps look like? So make sure you are creating urgency in every conversation and addressing the elephant in the room. We cannot beat around the bush when it comes to these foreclosure leads. Lastly, what I like to do is tell a third party story. All right. So the next person that I talk to that's going through foreclosure, I'm going to tell them the exact same story that I just told y'all that I experienced. Hey, I was working with another guy. We had everything lined up. Everything sounded good to him. We had the money set aside to get this deal closed for him and put money in his pocket, but he waited too late and he ended up losing out on the money and his property. So that usually should ignite some type of fire under a seller when they hear this is going on often. Next, you want to build systems that educate and follow up. All right. So, like I said, you want to set that expectation, provide your options and solutions to the issue. You want to create urgency. And if they don't go for it on their first call, because they probably won't based on their emotions and their fear and their denial, then you have to continue to follow up. All right. So, set a follow up with them. Let them know again, hey, the deadline is this, or you have until this specific date to make a decision. So I'm going to continue to follow up with you. I'm going to continue to reach out and let you know what your options are and how we can help you. So you want to just continue to educate and follow up. That's all you can do. You also want to offer value early. You want to get them info on the timelines. Remind them when the auction date is, how many days that is from this exact date that you're calling them. You want to get knowledgeable on the auction process so you can share that information with them. Tell them exactly how the process works and what they can expect, whether they move forward with you or not. And of course, you want to provide realistic options. All right. So know exactly how you can help and tell them exactly how that is in detail. But do not, in any case, overpromise and underdeliver. Set proper expectations, please, because we're here to help these people. And the last thing we want to do is have them actually move forward with us and we waste their time and we end up being the reason that they lose these properties, because that's not why we're doing the job. Lastly, set deadlines, but do not chase. All right. So, what we've discovered through this process is that we need at least 7 working days in order to get this done. And that means AOH paperwork, title process, speaking to the attorneys or the trustees over the properties. We also need to get our attorney in line so we can do a TRO if necessary to stop the foreclosure and give us more time if more time is needed. If you are a seller in foreclosure, do not wait until the week of your auction to get serious. We can help you here at Homefordable, but you have to allow us time to actually help. If you're a wholesaler dealing with foreclosure leads and the emotional roller coaster that comes with it, keep your head up, dog. Do as much as you can, but do not carry the guilt of what you're not able to do. Now, if you got any value from this video at all, like, subscribe, and tap in with me weekly. I'm here to keep it real and help you grow as an investor. Homeowners, reach out today, not tomorrow. Let us help you stop the bank or your lender from taking what you've built. Till next time, y'all, tap in.